When will society and these companies learn that we shouldn't make snap decisions based off of accusations? What to do, ladies and dudes? It's the Vulgar One, the Vulgar Son, the Vulgar Desperado, giving you and your crew some things to talk about in your living room. And today, looks like Justin Roiland. I think that's how you pronounce that, with that little I it's throwing me. But the co-creator of Rick and Morty looks like he's been vindicated. Looks like the prosecution or whatever has gone through, and he looks like he's been cleared of all the charges. So I got this article from Found in the Comics. Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland speaks out after being cleared of domestic violence charges. I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts. And that's something that I kind of just want to point out and talk about. But let's kind of go through this article real quick. So just going to the more important parts here from Found in Comics, it says the decision to dismiss Roiland's charges was first announced by the Orange County, California District Attorneys on March 22nd, so not so long ago. We dismissed the charges today because there was insufficient evidence to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt, explained a spokesperson for the office, Kimberly Eds, in a statement issued to the media. Further, Eds noted that the decision was also influenced by some significant additional information that came to light. Now, Roiland himself, breaking his long-held silence on the topic, took to Twitter nearly immediately after the DA's announcement to offer his thoughts on the entire ordeal. In his long Twitter post here, it said, I've always known that these claims were false, and I've never had any doubt that this day would come. I am thankful that this case has been dismissed, but at the same time, I'm still deeply shaken by the horrible lies that were reported about me during this process. Most of all, I'm disappointed that so many people were so quick to judge without knowing the facts, based solely on the word of an embittered ex trying to bypass due process and have me canceled, in quotes. That it may have succeeded even partially is shameful. However, now that the legal case has ended, I'm determined to move forward and focus on both my creative projects and restoring my good name. And, coming off last summer, the whole hottest thing on the news, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, you would think he would have got maybe a bit of the benefit of the doubt. And hey, maybe he did behind the scenes. But let's not forget that this man lost all his TV shows. He lost his fucking speaking roles on the show that he co-created. Like, we know that there are bad people out there. And I feel like we as a society are getting too fucking retarded that we don't know who's obviously bad and who's obviously lying and who's, telling the truth and whatnot. I mean, because, yeah, while we may not know what happened behind the scenes, for all we know, he could have been just paid the DA's office off and got home scot-free. He still lost his jobs. He still, lost all that shit. We really don't know all the details. But, again, bringing up Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, the main point here is being, once you actually look at both sides of the story, a lot of this shit is just not what we are readily automatically thinking, right? Johnny Depp, again, being the perfect example, was the one getting abused in this situation. Now with Roiland, I remember, reading some of the details on the story, and I think it said that, he had locked her in the house when the cops came or whatever. Listen, not trying to justify it or anything, but it's a lot better than getting beat on, and considering to some of these other stories, I think, what's kind of sad here is, and what we're actually looking at is, weaponization of, victim status, weaponization of traumatic stories, traumatic events, and whether they're true or not, people are using those, in varying different situations, but people are using those stories and moments or whatever, false narratives, whatever, to get back at people. And, we got to be kind of realistic about that, as much as some people do bad things, we are very quick to judge. The fact, like he said it himself, he's like, I'm upset that people just, took to it. They just believed it right away. And I think, in that sense, I think that to me is the most sad part, is because, we're not letting due process happen. We are judging people based off their race, their gender, their skin color, their whatever, and I get it. It's easier to look at a man and say, oh, yeah, he was mean to the smaller woman. But Johnny Depp. There's so many cases and evidence of stories, and fuck, man, you can go ask any man you've ever met, as if he's not gay and he's had some dealings with women, I'm pretty sure he can tell you a story that she was the bad guy in. It's just that simple. This simple idea of, hey, not every one person, type of person, whatever, is always the victim, whether it be men, women, black, white, Asian, whatever. It doesn't matter. There are so many nuances to our society and to everything that is going on, and we kind of forget that. And hopefully he's been saving his money, but like he said at the end, he's got to restore his name, man. He may get his jobs back with Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, which I would hopefully hope so, because fuck, dude, like, I don't want to watch Rick and Morty with somebody else voicing Rick and Morty. It's a stupid idea, and it was not gonna fly. But you got to repair your name, and that shit is hard, fuck, do people forget what it's like to be in high school and middle school? I mean, you can't even accidentally fart without not having that shit carry with you all the way into your graduating year. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that stick. And being called a rapist or even an abuser, I mean, to his deathbed, Kobe Bryant was still being labeled as such. And if anybody knows the actual story of what happened went on during that time in that trial, this lady was sleeping with the whole team and was just trying to set up Kobe. Yet on his deathbed, like the day he passed, people were still calling him a rapist. And that's the problem when it comes to this stuff. Sure, yeah, we need to protect actual victims, blah, blah, blah. But let's also realize that there are other male victims in these, like, stories here, right? We shouldn't just jump to, Captain Save-A-Ho, throw on your capes and protect whoever, like the one that looks most pathetic. It's kind of fucked up, but the reality is we can't just be screwing over people, again, regardless of what they look like. I think that's probably the biggest problem, and I say it in several times, like, we have this very autistic society. They look at one thing and they think that is it forever. There's black is bad, women are weak, white men are great, blah blah. Like, it's like people are getting very stuck in very rudimentary thinking of race and gender and all that shit. It's very embarrassing for such a great country and nation that we live in, for people, and even just era. It doesn't even really matter your country or whatever, just the era, 2023, and everyone's getting dumber and dumber and dumber and fucking dumber. But hey, for all we know, some shit could come out with this guy, and then, he really is a demon. I kind of doubt it, I kind of doubt it. We've seen a lot of stories, Aziz Ansari, Chris Hardwick, like Marilyn Manson, that should just happen. A woman literally just came out and said, hey, Rachel Evan Woods, or whatever her name is, she was coaxing me into saying all this stuff about him. This is bad. This is dangerous. Let's just stop the cap, and let's not fuck up the art, right? We all like some Rick and Morty. It's going a little down here and there, but it's still an enjoyable show. But once you got rid of the co-creator, it was kind of a nail in the coffin for me and probably a lot of other people. So let's be a little bit smarter in how we handle some of these things, with grace and care. And let's just stop firing and demonizing people in all kinds of situations. It doesn't always have to be domestic or sexual, racial issues. The tension's very high. Let's just chill the fuck out, right? But I didn't want to be here this long. Just kind of a quick little update on that. But you know what it is. Jabberjaws in the booth. Vulgar Desperado. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.